how are you going to live your life? What are you going to do? Well, let me share with you how Clivey, my grandfather, lived his life. Oh, Dill, you're here. Good. I can die now. Shocked, in complete horror and seemingly paralytic, my brother's face was frozen. His eyes met mine, and we both weren't sure of what we were about to learn from this wise man, from our grandfather's legacy. You see, Clivey was someone who lived his life his way. He did it his way. Throughout the course of his life, he never spent any days in hospital. He had no invasive surgeries, and he was never on any pharmaceutical drugs. And so as he was nearing the final days of his 92 years on this spinning rock, he wasn't going to go into a retirement village. He was pretty stubborn about spending another night in hospital, and he wasn't going to go out being sedated. In fact, he wanted to have a hospital bed, which we got in his home that he architecturally designed over 60 years earlier. So he was able to pass away surrounded by family in that lovely environment. And that was him doing it his way right until his final beat. So how was I living my life? What was I going to do? 2 months after I finished school and was going out into the world to explore what my destiny could be, I found myself in an induced coma, and I entered hospital, and I entered hospital with a disease that had 33% chance of surviving. And my family were actually told that I wouldn't survive the night. I basically had a 3-centimeter bug eating a hole into my heart. And 2 months before that, my grandfather was actually sitting with me on the couch, and I was sitting in the living room, and I lived with my grandparents, so we were sitting in the living room, and we weren't talking about anything. And he turned to me, and he had this big boyish grin on his face, and he turned to me, and the sun was kissing the side of his face, and he just said, "Decide your destiny." And I said, "What?" He said, "Decide your destiny." I said, "What are you saying, Clivey?" He said, "Make sure that whatever you do in your life, that you decide your destiny." Now at that stage, at that age, obviously, I went in one ear and I went out the other. So there I was, I was in hospital 2 months later, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have a destiny to decide. And then, well, an angel was called, or my stepfather stepped in, and he said, "Look," and as I came out of the induced coma, he said, "There's another way to go about this." He said, "We could operate," and one of the factors of operating was that my life was going to be totally changed. It was really going to affect my whole destiny. And so he said, "There's a thing called alkaline diets. We can try this juice fast, and the theory is that we'll starve the bug out." I had no idea, had no clue, had no prior knowledge of nutrition besides how to build muscles, build some beach guns, and get ready for rugby. So I said, "Look, I trust you. I trust the man. Let's give this wild thing a go." And we did it. And at the 3-week mark, we had starved the bug out, and I didn't have a bug anymore eating my heart. So looking back in hindsight, they were the first steps of me going out and deciding my destiny and making a mark in my life. So following that, unfortunately I had years of surgeries and a lot of repairs because we set myself up well. But I had, invasive procedures and pharmaceutical drugs, and I had about 12, I was taking a day, it was wiping me out. I was falling asleep in the middle of the day, passing out, and it was just, my young 20s was not what I'd foreseen. And so fast forward to Clive in his hospital bed in his house. I was looking at him, and I was just wondering, maybe there'll be one last bit of gold nugget wisdom that he can share, maybe something else that he can share with me that can help me forward in my destiny. And so what he shared, we were all around him, he was coming out of consciousness, and one of the family members went over and said to him, "What do you see, Clive?" And Clive said, "Jesus." And then all of the family members crowded around him even quicker, and huddled around him and said, "But what does he look like? What does he look like?" And then he said, "He's standing by the river with the boat for me." And then family member my stepfather pressed against, "Well, what look like? He said, love. And it was in that moment that I realized it wasn't his stoic nature or his wise nature that guided Clivey throughout his destiny. It was his embodiment of faith and love throughout the course of his life for his destiny. So the takeaway from this story and this experience was that you don't have to be defined by what happens to you. You don't have to be defined by what you're told. You can be defined by the decisions you make in your life and the integrity of your heart, the character of your soul. So what are you going to do with your life? How are you going to decide your destiny? Thank you.